My name is Ramadan. I work for Women's International Peace Center as a program officer, and my experience has been basically working with the refugee, women from the refugee and host communities. And as a peace center, we worked in conflict and post-conflict communities. And in Uganda, we've been working with the refugees from Bidibidi refugee settlement that is in Jumbe district and the host communities. We've also worked with refugee women from Adjumani, particularly in the settlements of Numanzi, Agojo, and then at Maji refugee settlement and the surrounding host communities. I would like specifically to talk about the experience of the women refugees in COVID-19, because we as Peace Center work with these women and have trained them as peace mediators, have trained them as conflict analysts and conflict monitors, work that they have been doing in their communities to play a key role in ensuring peaceful and harmonious communities. It is basically to ensure that women contribute or participate in decision-making processes right from their communities, because as we realize that women play a key role, but at times, and then they have the power within themselves, but at times they do not know that they have this power within themselves, but naturally they are peace builders. And once their ability and skill is ignited, they are able to champion peace at different levels. Their experience, talking about their experience in COVID-19, we saw that COVID-19 came abruptly. No one was prepared. It was a shock to everybody. And we had women calling from all directions, what should we do, what should we do? And we told them, it is an emergency and conflicts are bound to increase, that we do not have to lay down our tools. So the women also saw it positively, that okay, it is an emergency that has attacked us, and as women, we need to still play our role as women and take lead, be at the forefront. And I must tell you that women were at the forefront in, first of all, from the fact that conflicts increased during the lockdown, during the crisis, the COVID-19 crisis, there was more violence against women. There were more conflicts between in the homes and then in the neighborhood. There were a lot of conflicts. Even the animal raids also increased. We also saw people crossing borders and moving illegally, which was also an issue because COVID-19 did not require a lot of movement. So women even report their own spouses who are not within the country and also maybe are coming from other locations that are suspected to be COVID-19 positive. And as they reported some of the influx, there were also some violence also came up. And looking at that, women had to take a key role. First of all, they are the family and the breadwinners in their homes. Because if we look at in terms of percentage, you find that in the refugee settlement, it is women and children consist of over 80% of the population. So men are fewer in number, and they have to provide information about prevention. It was the women improvising the local hand wash facilities. They were the ones looking for soap to at least ensure hand washing and COVID-19 SOP, standard operating procedures, are observed in right from their homes. Then they also, on seeing that conflicts were increasing, they also had not to sit down, but they resorted to door, reaching out door to door. And they also tried their best to use technology. For instance, making phone calls and checking on each other became part of the key role they were playing. And they were also supporting each other, because you find that maybe they were doing more of engaging in economic activities. For instance, taking small products like food items to the market and then selling, reselling. They buy from wholesale, they go and resell, retail, and get something out of it that they will use to buy food and take home. So, since movement was prohibited, it became so difficult. And some people were caught unaware and they did not have any like food rations in their homes. But women supported each other. They also supported each other with information. They also shared the little that they had. Then, on one-on-one basis, they were able to mediate conflicts that happened within their communities. I would give an example of a conflict that happened between the Nuer and Dinka in major refugee settlement. The women played a key role because they, first of all, rescued the families that were being attacked. They offered protection to them. And immediately, they also made calls to, they called us, like, for instance, they informed me that there's a conflict happening, people are fighting each other and they're bound to kill themselves. What should we do? We say report to, call the camp commandant, call the RDC, the resident district commissioner. So they called the authority, who responded immediately by doing peacekeeping, because at that time, all that was needed immediately was peacekeeping. It was not mediation that was needed. So soldiers were deployed immediately, and the situation calmed. Slowly they continued mediating between the families to avoid them, to stop them from revenging. And the situation was arrested. And much later, like within that week, after some few days, a major peace dialogue was convened between the conflicting tribes, that was the Nuer and Dinkas, in the settlement. And since then, that conflict has not happened again, because the women have continued, even beyond the COVID period, they have continued to. I also saw that the women integrated COVID-19 awareness, information on COVID-19 SOP in their peace building work. Instead of passing only on the peace building messages, they were also passing on COVID-19 prevention messages, which was a plus. And they also increased their approach to not only gathering, which was limited, which was stopped. For instance, at a point in time, you were not supposed to meet with more than 5 people. You were not supposed to meet beyond a family. There was social distancing, and it was really, really challenging. But the women turned out to reach out to one another on one-on-one, and they were also observing the standard operating procedures. In terms of technology, there is a limitation to access to tools for telecommunication, particularly during the COVID-19 period. It got us unaware, as I said at the beginning. And most women did not have access to communication tools. For instance, when it came to phones, some women had phones, but very few. Then there was also a challenge of internet, that in some communities it's very hard to get network, to access network. So when it came to like Zoom meetings, these online meetings, women were locked out. They were not able. But slowly, some of them started also trying their best to access and catch up with the technology. And we also saw that the infrastructures, their access was affected with the infrastructure for internet. For instance, you find that maybe there is no internet booster in a particular community, that even to make a call, a woman has to go and climb on an hill or go to specific spots to communicate. Then we also saw that if it is possible, women used to take their phones somewhere to charge, maybe where they can access electricity. But since movement was limited, we see that if we have alternative, we maybe explore alternative solutions like solar-powered phones. Probably women can have their phones on, even if it's just the phones which do not access internet but access data network for just passing information, maybe calling. If their batteries are on, they are able to communicate. So with the solar, it is accessible everywhere, because in Uganda, the sunshine is there almost about 12 hours, 10 to 12 hours in a day. That is solar power, which can sustain their gadgets. Then making the infrastructures available, like having internet boosters in different communities, will also help the women access technology. Then linking the women to the local actors. For instance, the telecommunication services or the local organizations that support or provide communication gadgets can also support them and allow them to access. Then if we make information available in different languages, for instance, I realized that most of the phones, maybe they are not in the local languages that these women speak. But if we have these tools in different languages, women will be able to access and flourish in use of technology. First of all, it would help them reach a wider community, a wider coverage with the information that they pass. It would also profile them, that the world would know what women are doing, because in most cases, women do a lot of things. For instance, in peace building, they play a big role, but it is not seen. If they had access, all this would be, their work would be profiled, and then it would be seen. The whole world would acknowledge the contribution women bring to the peace table. Then it would also network them, that they would be able to share their experience with other women who are doing peace building in other locations across the globe. Then it would also reduce the stress on movement. For instance, if you find that a woman does lack transport means to move from one location to the other, but because of the need and because of the land they have for their work, you find women footing, trekking from one community to the other. But if they had access to telecommunication, they would be able to move they would be networked in such a way that in one position, they can reach out to women in different locations. And it would also support fast flow of information. Take, for instance, if something is sent to the social media these days, it reaches in a glimpse, in seconds, it has reached the entire world. So that is what women miss when they lack access to technology.